Ready? All right. Good evening. I'd like to call the Hebron Board of Education regular meeting of Thursday, September 11, 2025 to order. The time is 6:03 p.m. If we could do a roll call, starting with
Kim Hills, board member.
Allie Nato-Schmeichel, board member.
Sarah Coppolino, board secretary.
Joe Margolis, vice chair.
Heather Pettit, chair.
Tom Barrett, superintendent.
Alicia LeMay, board member.
Cindy Houston, business manager.
Don Briere, Director of Educational Services.
Thank you. We have Mr. McKinney, our Director of Technology and Facilities. Mrs. Ariano and Mr. Larkin, our principals. Thank you. Before we do the pledge, today is the 24th anniversary. I feel weird calling it anniversary, but it is the anniversary of 9/11. So if we could just take a moment of silence for the victims of 9/11. Thank you so much. Thank you. And now can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. All right, next on our agenda is recognition of the future problem solvers.
So I'm going to ask Mr. Parks to come up and kick us off.
Want me to talk into this, I assume?
Yeah.
Oh.
We're excited to hear about nationals.
Yes. Okay, so hi, Adam Parks, Challenge and Enrichment teacher. I think you know me by now. So I'm very excited to be back in front of you again, recognizing, of course, some of our amazing students. So I guess as I recognize them, I'd like them to come on up. Why don't we all come up? So all the FPSers and Maddie too. I know it said on the agenda just, future problem solvers, but I'll explain Maddie DeCesare. Where's she at? There she is, okay. And I believe Mr. McKinney has a couple of pictures just to help us out here. So I don't want to stand in front of you guys. You're the people. Get in there. I'll stand on the side. Okay, so before you, so these are our future problem solver students, some of them from last year, and the reason they're here, as you can see on the table, we actually swept the Connecticut State Bowl for FPS. So they're in the junior division, which is 4th through 6th grade. Some of them are 7th graders now because this was last year. But those 3 trophies are there. So we won 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place. And it was quite interesting in the auditorium as they called out the winners and, okay, 3rd place Hebron, 2nd place Hebron, and, everyone's looking around like, what's going on here? But that's a testament to what these guys bring to the table. They're amazing. So I want to introduce them to you now. So again, this was the FPS State Bowl that they competed in March. The topic was nanotechnology. So clearly nothing simple here. And by the way, before then, just speaking of topics, they had to qualify 4 states doing a 2-hour booklet. All of their booklets are 2 hours long, straight through, no adult help whatsoever. In fact, at states, I couldn't even be with them, really. So agricultural industry was the topic that they qualified on, and then they had practice problems on rising sea levels and food insecurity. So they're really tackling some of the real meaty problems of the world. And so these problems, even though you could say that they're current problems, the scenarios that they analyze are set at least 20 years into the future. So they have to actually think futuristically and kind of apply technology that might not even exist today. They have to be creative in that way. So at the state conference, 3rd place went to a team called the Light Bulbs, and I'd like them to step forward. Thomas Case, Sophia Kaufman, who I don't think could be here tonight, LJ Consolo, and Theo Lotko. So that's the Light Bulbs, and they came in 3rd place in the state. 2nd place in the state, and I should mention they were 5th graders, and again, the junior division is 4th through 6th grade, so they not only had to compete against their peers, but kids that are a whole year older than them, and they came in 2nd place in the entire state. That's the Rolling Tomatoes, Amelia Chiraki, Jake Quinto, and Jake LeMay, 2nd place. And then the Connecticut State FPS champions, the Corn Army, they are Hannah Pendarvis, Juliet. Oh, look at that. What timing. There she is, Hannah Pendarvis. Step forward, Hannah. Hannah Pendarvis, Juliet Masternunzio, Ellie Lotta Bush, and Elena Acamazo, state champions. And from what I understand, all four of them are still together on the same team competing in 7th grade. So hopefully they'll bring home some more hardware for RAM now that they're there. So thank you. Okay, and remember I said it's not just FPS. By the way, what's up on the board, these kids actually made the River East, so I'm very excited. I don't know if you guys got to see it, but that's the article from the River East. And then our other student up here, not an FPSer, but Maddie DeCesare, competed in Connecticut History Day. And we've only been doing this for a couple of years now. Actually, her brother was one of her predecessors doing it. But Maddie actually, so she competed in the Norwich Regional Contest. Maddie came in first place for her documentary, Lily Ledbetter, championing fair play and workplace equality for everyone. So first place, Maddie DeCesare. She's the first person in Hebron history to place in Connecticut History Day. And so there's her picture at History Day with her medal. So there you go. That's our FPSers and History Day kids. So hopefully we'll be back here soon with more students. Thank you.
So we're gonna have you all gather over here with our backdrop, and Mr. McKinney's gonna snap your photo, and we'll probably be coming to a Bright Futures issue or Facebook
Social media.
soon.
Do they want to hold their trophies?
Oh yeah, do you want to hold your
Dave,
Dave?
they should hold the
Hold
trophies.
the trophies.
Mr. Parks. Oh.
Mr. Parks, can you help me with this? We'd like to get these in a shot also.
You might want to switch it.
I'm so sorry. I forgot one more thing. I don't have the microphone, but Myra Saramet is, I guess she's the only one from that team, right? That's why it threw me off. So we had another team, Double Doors Army. So that's Myra, it was Lucy Bartolotta, Amira Hassan, and Nadia Conway. So their team was Double Doors Army. They came in first place in a division of FPS called the Zippy Division. So they qualified for that, and they came in first place for that. So.
All right, guys, help me out. Just, we want to get on that backdrop here. Mr. Parks and, yep. Copy art of this photo.
Awesome.
Everyone.
If any parents want to get photos, you are more than welcome to as well. Just take a pause. All right, awesome.
Hebron kids doing great things.
I know. Congratulations to all the future problem solvers, and also Maddie. Thank you for representing our district so well and for being so amazing. Thank you.
Hey, kids, maybe you can help Mr. Parks bring those out to the car.
Or Mr. McKinney. Thank you again.
Thanks for coming.
you. I just wanted to give you a chance to. All right, that was a really nice.
Yeah, great way to
Yeah.
start the year.
Yeah, that is great. So next on our agenda is student liaison report. Obviously, it's the beginning of the year, although Amelia was here because she's part of the future problem solvers. So it was nice to see her, but she will be back next meeting because there's not too much to report, just school just started. And that will be her last meeting because then a new student representative for our board will be on there, so we'll recognize Amelia next month. District Advancement Plan, School Climate Updates, Part 1.
So,
Dr. Briere?
Yeah.
Should I, are we using the?
Hello, everyone. That is a tough act to follow. I'll do my best as we talk about attendance and climate. There's a lot here to unpack. So the way we thought we'd present tonight is part one of a two-part presentation. So the climate implications for the year ahead will be a secondary presentation later this spring when we have more to report on it as well. So tonight we'll talk about attendance updates, school climate updates from last year, and then I'll preface and demonstrate some of the activities that will be going on this year around the new school climate legislation. That's kind of our roadmap moving forward. So first up, attendance and school climate. Looking back a year. Oh, my clicker seems to be frozen. There we go, okay. So this graphic, this table, the board is familiar with from past years. So it's a glance back to 2019 to present time. The way to unpack this is we like to compare across a number of different comparison groups. So the first row up top is our statewide mean. What we're looking at overall on this slide is average daily attendance across all districts. So for this past year, the state saw a constant from the previous year of 93.2% daily attendance rate. We also like to glance around at our neighbors. So DIRG C is our comparison group. That's our district reference group. That's a compilation of districts that align across a number of variables with Hebron. There we saw a slight reduction year over year to daily average attendance rate to 94.61. But again, takeaway there is our DIRG is certainly above the state average, okay, as a good context. Here in Hebron, we saw a slight reduction, a negative 0.1 daily attendance rate, dropped to 95.4% daily attendance. And you'll just see as you follow down there, I'm on that pink row, the 24-25 column. Marlborough was at 95.1, demonstrating a negative 0.4 decline, and Andover demonstrated a slight increase to 95.2% average daily attendance. Okay. There's a lot on this next slide to look at, but it kind of packs a lot in. So different ways to look at attendance. Myself and the deans talk about this and discuss these numbers regularly. We monitor them weekly across the school year. This is the one-year snapshot. So probably most important is to look at the very right-hand side of your screen. The column over there up top is first total attendance, total absences. We did see an increase in just raw number of total absences to 5860 this past year, so about approximately 700 some odd increase from the previous year. Then we broke it down from there. So students with 6 to 9 absences, students with 10 to 14 absences, students with 15 plus absences, and then the number we really focus in on are students who are chronically absent. So I'll just fast forward you down to that row. We saw an increase of 3 students. So we had 41 students last year who were chronically absent. This past year, 44 students compared to the previous year of 41. Percentage-wise, because our sample is fairly small, as we know, comparably, that means 7.2% of students were chronically absent. Just as a quick comparison point, the state, you'll probably see the headlines. I know I saw the headlines on News Channel 3 earlier this week that they are celebrating a reduction in chronic absenteeism statewide. So without the underlying story, that's hard to interpret, I think. So I wanted to put up there the statewide average of chronically absent students. There was an improvement, which is great, but it went from 17.7% of our students statewide were chronically absent, down to 17.2%. So, so still substantially ahead of the statewide average, but also you can see from 21 moving forward, absolutely something we're still focusing on. The deans and I actually this week started to unpack some of the why behind that and some of the action steps we are taking, and actionable steps we'll continue to take and process and brainstorm this year to really focus in on that 7.2 because we think we can do better. We want back to pre-pandemic levels. We're just not there yet. So it's definitely a big conversation we're having currently. Transition now to climate. So as a reminder to the board, every year up until this point, you'll hear that's one of the changes actually coming. But up until this point, we would do climate surveys at the end of each year. So there's 3 climate surveys that we administer. One is for all certified staff, so all teachers, related service folks, district-wide. Another survey is for families and parents and guardians across the community. And the third survey is for our non-certified staff, so our paraeducators and our behavior technicians. So we ask these 3 groups of folks to take our surveys, and we generate some good outcomes from that. I can speak to this afternoon. I sat at the Gilead Hill School Climate Meeting, and they were literally going through every item and going through the surveys and using those outcomes for further conversation. What you're going to see on the next slide is just a snippet of some of those outcomes. Okay. So from our certified staff, some big takeaways. Vast majority of staff, 95%, feel they had a positive impact on their students' achievement and learning this past year. Similarly, high levels of certified staff feel students are engaged in creative learning opportunities. And important for us to reflect on as well, 84% of certified staff felt supported in their buildings. Non-certified staff, also high positive outcomes. 95% of non-certified staff felt supported in their buildings. 86% of staff enjoy working in their buildings. 91% of non-certified staff felt there are procedures in place to provide safety for all. Okay. Family survey was extremely positive this past year. So instead of just giving you 3 big takeaways, I think I actually had 8 in here, but I reduced it to 5, I think. It was hard to kind of pick. But some of the family survey results from last year. Mr. McKinney, I think I'm frozen again on the clicker.
Honestly, I think it's the computer more than the clicker.
Okay, as long as it's not me. So 98% of families reported their children felt safe at school. 95% of families felt their child's social and emotional needs are met. I wanted to make a notation there too. The remaining 5% responded neutrally to this 5-point Likert scale that we use for this survey. 97% of families felt their child's academic needs are currently being met when they took a survey at the end of the year. 95% of families believe staff have established positive relationships with students, and 98% of families report feeling proud of their children attending Hebron public schools. The board has seen these numbers in years past, so just as a retrospective here, we always see very positive family survey outcomes. These exceeded the outcomes of previous years, so very positive. That's why I wanted to give you just an extra bullet point or 2 to kind of drive home the point there. Okay. Oh, one more. Sorry, I forgot I included one additional one. 93% of families feel welcome to ask teachers and administrators questions. Okay, so the next part of the presentation is to go over the school climate legal ramifications and implications for our efforts this year, and where we currently are with implementation efforts and where we're going over the next 9 to 10 months. So in 2023, the General Assembly passed new legislation making multiple significant changes to school climate efforts in schools across the state. These changes went into effect July 1st of this year, so we are rolling out a series of these. We received a legal update over the summer regarding these changes. The board, I know, has also heard a bit about these school climate changes. So what we try to do in the presentation here is to break it down to 9 sub-steps to make it more easily digestible for anyone else looking at the presentation to understand some of the climate work that is underway. So the first is to update our district-wide school climate policy. That legislation required boards of education to not just adopt their own climate policies, but to use CABE's policy. At this point, the board has done that, so that step is completed. Another requirement of this new legislation is to identify a school climate coordinator. The sub-requirements within that step are those climate coordinators must meet twice a year with the school climate specialists, reviewing and updating plans, and supporting the school climate survey efforts. That is ongoing. Who those folks are, I am the school climate coordinator. Dave, go to the next. For the district, our school climate specialists, so another title here, are our deans of schools. So Mrs. Haynes and Mrs. Much, we meet frequently. We meet weekly at a dean's meeting, and the agenda for that is to review all the elements that the legislation requires. So we certainly meet more than 2 times a year, satisfying this component of the new legislation. So component 3 there is to identify school climate specialists, who I just mentioned are school deans. In part, they lead the responses to challenging behaviors in schools, oversee intervention implementation, particularly for social, emotional, behavioral interventions across our multi-tiered efforts. Lead school climate committees, which again meet regularly across the school year, and lead the implementation of the school climate improvement plans for each building. So that work is ongoing. The next component of this legislation is maintain a school climate committee. That committee must meet regularly to develop, maintain, and oversee a school climate improvement plan. That work is ongoing. It begins in the fall. As I just mentioned, Gilead Hills meeting was today. I believe Hebron Elementary's LBET is next week. So those are the school climate committees who really have their work cut out for them this fall as they reflect on this legislation and what their action steps need to be by Christmas time, by New Year's. Step 5 is conduct a school climate survey. That's new for this year, although we've been doing annual surveys. There's now a requirement to implement a school climate survey biannually. We will start that this spring. We will reestablish baseline. We will rebuild our survey based on the state's guidance on what we should be putting into that survey. So we'll keep that in mind next fall when we present those results, because they will certainly include different questions as it's starting anew. This next one is a heavy lift. So number 6, the school climate improvement plan, is a heavy lift at the school level. That is the work that Gilead Hills started working on today, and Hebron will start working on next week. That is the development of a school climate improvement plan, or a revision of one, if you already have one. To do that, the team must go through and review all existing climate data they have. So that's our school climate surveys, that's our attendance, that can be our office discipline referrals, that can be our DESA survey information, which is our universal SEL screener, et cetera. So the climate team's charge is to review that compilation of information, reflect as a leadership team at the school level, and develop from that self-assessment an improvement plan. So they need to complete that by the new year, by January 1st. So our hope is that they have those plans at the school level approved by the school climate teams and the deans and the principals to be moved on to me in central office as our district school climate coordinator for review and approval early December. Once that is approved in central office, it will be publicly posted on our district website and sent to the state. So that is really the heavy lift at the school level. Both deans have taken charge of this and are moving things forward rapidly. Very productive initial conversations. So no concern that will be a challenge, but it definitely is new work for the climate teams to take underway. And here we are, week 3 of the school year. They're already off to the races. Okay. Number 7 is new. It's the tiered challenging behavior response requirements. So we'll post this whole website, and I hyperlinked on the last 3 items some of the state guidance components to this. So when this is posted, if anyone's interested in reading through those resources, those are easily accessible. What we're doing as a district this year around this process, with this, let me take a step back. The tiered challenging behavior response requirements are for school-based teams to identify an efficient system to acknowledge, communicate, and respond to escalated behavioral manifestations in and around the school building and school day. We already have a very robust and efficient communication and response protocol. We always have in district. This now requires it of all school districts. So for us in Hebron, what that means is just a relook, a revisit at what we've already been doing. And also we started discussing creating an internal tracking database just so the schools can compare in our weekly conversations how this component of the legislation is being implemented and how it's going, so we can reflect and unpack scenarios as they arise. Staff training is a required component of this area of the new legislation. And like I said, here we are in week 3. We have all worked through these conversations in the summer. we feel well-equipped and well-prepared for our communication requirements and our staff training requirements. And so far, things are going effectively. Number 8 is additional training requirements for schools and districts across the state around social emotional learning, climate and culture, and restorative practices. For us, that is overseen by our district PDAC committee, that's our Professional Development and Evaluation Committee, as well as our school-based PDAC teams as well. SEL, as we know as a group here, living in Hebron for a number of years, SEL has certainly been a strong backbone of our work for quite some time now, as has been the professional learning that comes with that. So for us, this is not a big shift or change. These elements have always been part of the fabric of our conversation when we're talking about professional growth. However, that is a required part of this legislation statewide, so it might be new for some. And finally, another policy update is to adopt a restorative practices response policy. Similarly, the board will have adopted that policy, so we satisfy that component of the legislation.
Actually, we still have to adopt that policy.
Not adopt, in process.
All right, okay. Can you talk a little bit about like the label of bullying and like how that's changed now?
Ask me in a month, it'll probably change again, yeah. So the bullying legislation continues to morph year to year, which comes with it the way we respond. So if and when there's ever a bullying citation, and the language used behind that is also changing, our deans and our administrators at the building level will immediately respond, communicate with the person who's made the accusation, and investigate it. The way it's communicated out remains fairly similar. What's really changed is the investigative requirements that the staff employ.
We'll no longer be talking about like, a verified act of bullying. Really the term bullying
Right.
has kind of gone out the window. Now it's going to be challenging behavior.
Okay.
That will feel different for people.
So there's a lot here. The part 2 of this presentation in the spring is to go over the school-based improvement plans with the board, which are in development right now. So the hope is that the school deans can join me in the spring and can walk through the process at each building, talk about what they learned, what they've implemented in the way of school climate improvement efforts, and effectively identify implications for the following year. So that's the hope for part 2 of the presentation, which I'm looking forward to. Any questions?
Does anyone have any questions?
I got a question.
Sure.
I figured I should. I mean,
Yeah,
you put
sure.
so much time into this.
Right, yeah.
So looking at your climate survey highlights, it looks good. So what are you basing the improvements off of? Is there a climate survey areas of opportunity that are identified, or?
Yeah, so what we did, good question. So what we did as an admin team in our retreat here in central office over the summer is we looked back 2 years, and we looked item by item across the 20-some-odd items per survey, and identify have there been any substantial improvements or declines, which is, so I showed you some of the celebrations and accomplishments. Things were not that negative across the 3 groups.
Yeah.
I think identifying some relative low points, we're identifying effectively student respectful behavior, student sustained respectful behavior across the school day. That one jumps out to me because I just discussed it today at Gilead Hill, but it wasn't low. It was still at 81% felt that student respectful behavior was present across every school day. So it's very relative. That was one area. Interestingly, some of the lower items were in regards to our communication efforts. We ask, what works best for you, families? Facebook, website, et cetera. So interestingly, folks don't frequent our Facebook page as much as we would like. So, so those types of reflections come up, but they are still mechanisms we think are worthwhile. But those are our lowest scores, was around some of our questions that say, how do you access the information? So Facebook in particular.
Yeah, I think the efforts in the climate plans that are going to be, or the data that's going to be important is going to be more of the attendance and discipline data, students who are dysregulated. I think it's going to be more of that data that's going to be helpful as you're developing the plans. Frankly, our climate survey data has been high. It's like kind of never been higher. I mean, people are feeling pretty good. It's pretty much the vibe between both staff and families. What will be interesting too is in the new legislation, students also have to be surveyed to a level that's developmentally appropriate. So we've lived that, we've tried that when it used to be tied to teacher evaluation too, and it's kind of hard to pull, kindergartners on their feeling about school. So we'll have to like wrap our head around like how far down the grades we go with that kind of thing. But that'll be one of the things that we'll have to look at. And the survey too, like right now, we've been utilizing a homegrown survey, which is not allowed moving forward. You have to have something that's been shown to be reliable and valid. So that'll be interesting as well to see what pops up when we do that survey.
One of the implications, Joe, just pops out is non-certified survey. There was one item about professional learning, particularly around behavior de-escalation, restorative practices. That's a thread across years. That wasn't a new shocking revelation, so that becomes part of the conversation as well. But even that item was in the upper 70s, I think, or low 80s. So it wasn't a shocking, like we're not trained or prepared. But that's one area, as we look at a under threat of this legislation, is around restorative justice practices that we're talking with our BCBA about and other training opportunities about. But it's all relative, again, because effectively that's still a pretty high outcome.
Yeah, the numbers look good, so that's why I was.
Yeah.
Is there a particular format this has to be in?
The
Like,
new
is
survey?
there like a requirement? Because obviously, it sort of seems like this could be something that could be under like a topic in the district improvement plan, but I'm assuming this needs to be a standalone thing.
The survey?
Or the school
plan.
climate improvement plan.
Standalone. Yeah, they the state
So do they
pushed
have
out.
a
Luckily,
format or specifics?
there's a
for it?
format. Yeah, so they push out a template. We are guided to use their template. So
Okay.
of course, why wouldn't we? You can create your own in theory, but the state linked up for all districts to absorb the survey that you can use, and some vendors that you could pay to work with, which we're not proposing to do, as well as the improvement plan template to use.
I would envision similar to how we have pieces of the Hebron Elementary School Improvement Plan embedded into our district advancement
Yeah.
plan. But we'll take that same approach.
Just like annual update.
Yeah.
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 I would think so. I would agree with that. I think like at the school-based level, some of the implications from these improvement plans will naturally weave into the broader efforts at the district advancement plan level.
So who will be providing like the staff training for the tiered, like challenging behavior response?
Yep. So Mr. Larkin and Mrs. Uriano with the school deans have already discussed conversations at staff-wide meetings. In addition to some of the implementation practice efforts, there are weekly special education meetings where these components come up in conversation. At the regular standing school climate meetings, the conversation will come up. I hold a district SEL meeting monthly. It will certainly come up there. So it's a multi-faceted approach. So all staff receive the messaging. The staff that are responding more close to the work here hear it more frequently as well and are able to unpack certain situations as they arise.
I would say like probably 90% of the work that's outlined in the legislation is work that has been being done, would have been continuing to be done, and the other 10% is more nuance, is sort of like within the work.
Yeah, and I will say a big benefit for us in Hebron is as we welcomed in a full-time BCBA a few years ago, who happens to also just be exemplary. Her voice in the conversation is a value add as staffs and as teams work through the year at looking at that particular component of this legislation.
And I would say there's things that the board has done and the district has done over the last several years. I mean, if you think about going through like the last 5 years and the additional supports that we've added to the schools, going back 5 years to like basically doubling the social work time, adding additional school psych, we increased over several years to the point where we are now, implementing an SEL curriculum. I mean, there's been a lot of things that we've done around mental health, kids who are dysregulated, to like really, if you haven't done that, then your climate results are going to look very different. So I mean, a lot of that work that we're doing, we're seeing those results in those climate surveys.
Thank you so much.
Sure, thanks.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
I appreciate it, thank you for all your work, and I know you do well. That's a very short timeline though,
Yep.
January 1.
Thank you, state of Connecticut.
Yes. State likes to have a lot of that. All right, thank you so much. All right, next on our agenda is public comments. The Hebron Board of Education values the public comment period as it represents an opportunity for members of the public to express their views to the board on matters within the board's authority. Procedurally, public comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person, and citizens will be asked to identify themselves. All comments must be directed to the board and not to any individual board member. Thank you. Or individual member of the administration. The board and the administration will not respond to questions or engage in dialogue during the public comment period. The board and administration will determine when and how to address questions that arise during the public comment period. So Stephen, Mr. Tedeschi. Can't really.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right. Well, first I'd like to say congratulations to the light bulbs, rolling tomatoes, and corn army. And thank you for the gentleman for going first, so I didn't have to follow them. I just have some written comments I'm gonna read. So, hello, my name is Stephen Tedeschi. My wife, Jocelyn, is with me tonight. We live at 49 Mill Stream Road with our 2 daughters, Haley, who is 2, and Sloan, who will turn 5 in just 18 days. I'm here tonight after months of communication with the administration, including dozens of emails and 3 in-person meetings. My comments are about Public Act 23208 and Board Policy 5030, admission to the public schools at or before age 5. Our daughter Sloan has been in a structured learning environment since infancy. Christ Lutheran in Hebron, Town and Country in Colchester, and Kinderama here in town. Her peers of the same age are now entering kindergarten. Because she was born 28 days after the cutoff, she was required to take Hebron's new readiness assessment in May. She did not receive a waiver. That assessment tested letter recognition, phonemic awareness, counting, and multi-attribute sorting. Several of these are mid to end of kindergarten skills, not entry-level readiness. The school later confirmed this 20-minute test was the most heavily weighted factor in denying Sloan's waiver. At the beginning of summer, we were told benchmarks came from the ELDS, which states on pages 7 to 9 it should not be used as an assessment tool. At the end of summer, we were told the benchmarks were also drawn from DIBBLES, a progress monitoring tool given in the 2nd week of kindergarten, not a placement tool. Expecting a 4.5-year-old to perform at mid-year kindergarten levels is not developmentally appropriate and conflicts with PA 23208. Last year, 100% of families were granted waivers. This year, only 14% were. Families denied waivers are offered no preschool slots and no plan for what comes next. My family applied for Hebron pre-K twice and never received a spot. That means our daughter was shut out of pre-K in town and then shut out of kindergarten 4 times in total. When I asked what else we could have done, the school suggested 5 days of pre-K instead of 3. Yet it is impossible to get a Hebron pre-K seat in the first place. I want to focus on stigma. Hebron has a no retention policy because of stigma. Yet the early entry process has already inflicted stigma on my daughter. Sloan had to watch her closest friends move on without her. She sat through an awkward graduation ceremony at Kinderama, where she was the only child not moving on to kindergarten. She has watched friendships wither away with her peers, and this summer she asked us for a birthday party, not because it was her birthday, but because she thought if she had a cake and candles, it would make her old enough to go to kindergarten. If stigma is enough to avoid retention, then it must also matter here. PA 23208 calls for case-by-case discretion. Tonight, I ask this board to use that discretion fairly, to correct an equitable first year of implementation, and to allow Sloan to begin kindergarten with her peers. Thank you. And I just have a longer written statement I just want to submit to the record.
Thank you so much. You can submit that if you want to. Thanks.
What's that?
She did great on the.
Oh, yeah, she can come up and speak.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a couple questions.
Okay.
Is it worth handing any?
Sure. Yeah.
Thanks, that's okay.
Thank you. Did you want to speak? You can, it's okay. We'll add your name.
Okay. Hi, my name is Jocelyn Tedeschi. I'm Stephen's wife and the mother of Sloan Tedeschi. I live at 49 Mill Stream Road. I achieved a Master of Public Administration at the University of Connecticut, and I'm an assistant provost in academic affairs at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. I am part of the administration there, so I understand what it is to be involved in a public implementation, try to implement something, whether it be policy through a collective bargaining agreement or from a border state where you have limited control when you're implementing it. I acknowledge the district was reeling from this law and it was doing its best to try to implement it. In addition to the items my husband eloquently spoke about, I want to highlight my concerns about the lack of comprehensive approach to this implementation. First, a lack of outreach. Specifically, you know our daughter Sloan. We've applied for pre-K multiple times. You knew her name, you knew her age, you knew that she would be affected by this new law. Yet, as residents and taxpayers, we were not given outreach about, hey, this is happening, here's what you might need to know about this. 2, a lack of communication. I proactively and throughout the year leading up to this decision, knowing she would be affected, spoke to the pre-K kindergarten teachers in Kinderama asking, what are you hearing from the district about this assessment? What do we need to be working on? How do we proactively approach this? They didn't hear anything. They kept telling me, we haven't heard what the district is doing yet. Just have her check her numbers, have her learn her letters, and this is an affiliated program that is in the high school RAM. 3, a lack of parental conversation. We were never talked to, aside from filling out a Google form of whether she was potty trained or not. And this is directly different to how it was handled last year, where there was a parental conversation about what should happen when kids are in this situation. This is happening to us, not in consultation with us. And I do acknowledge we had lots of great conversations with Tom and with you, Heather, and I appreciate those conversations, but there was never a dialogue in which we were heard at the time this was happening. 4, a lack of contingency plans. No pre-K slots held for situations where kids were affected by this. No appeal process despite that not being in the law. That doesn't mean you can't have an appeal. And no ability to try again at the end of the summer if we could meet certain benchmarks. This was happening to us. 5, in conclusion, my family was left and continues to pick up the pieces, curb the disappointment of a now 5-year-old who is going to be 5 at the end of this month, and overcome the stigma. And that's not to mention us footing the bill of yet another year of pre-K, all while our daughter is watching her friends zip by on school buses. So we are asking for your reconsideration. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We have these, and we'll add them to our record. Okay. Next on the agenda is the approval of minutes. So could I have a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of 8/21/2025 as presented?
So
Okay. All right. Kim, you want a second? We'll do Joe move to Kim second. All right, any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
I'll abstain.
Okay, opposed, abstentions, Ally abstains. Thank you, motion passes. Next is the chair's report. I know Tom, Dr. Baird, sorry, will speak to the opening of school, but I was honored to be able to go to convocation, give a quick speech, because nobody really wants to hear me give a speech on convocation day.
That's not true.
But everyone was in a great mood, like, I think, really happy to be back in the building. It was great to see everyone, and so I just wanted to let you know that it went really well, and I think Dr. Baird will probably speak to this pin later on. Am I right about that?
Yeah.
Okay. In addition, I wanted to bring up our calendar of meetings. The reason being is, you know, we asked Dr. Baird, and he graciously, really proactively worked with RAM and the districts, our regional partners, to really create a shared calendar, because we had heard from families, you know, they didn't want graduation on the same night, they didn't want our elementary school spring concerts on the same night as the high school or middle school spring concerts, because they had children in both. And so recently, you know, I think everyone does the best that they can. I mean, I will say that Andover and Marlborough are also part of that shared calendar. And so, you know, I think RAM probably has to work maybe, look at it a little bit differently because they're looking at 3 different boards to try to work around perhaps like 3 different board schedules. So the reason I bring up, and recently there was kind of like an issue, not an issue, but like something came up with the open house at RAM. We had a board meeting, they initially had open house, so we worked through that. But I think that it would maybe behoove our board to really think about the nights of our meetings. And I'm not saying we have to vote on that tonight, certainly, but I just wanted to bring it out. Like, maybe have a discussion on it next month if you want to think about it. And RAM has, for instance, their Board of Education meetings on Mondays, right? Because there's not a lot that goes on in any town on Monday in regard to concerts or open houses. Really, Monday is no. So that would be my first recommendation, is to kind of mirror that with them. I don't know if that would work though for everyone, so that's why I'm just saying possibly a recommendation is to move our meetings to Mondays. It could be I know the building committee meets on the second Monday,
Right.
That could be the third Monday of the month, but that was one of my thoughts. Perhaps, if not like Wednesday, I'm trying to think of, I know sometimes there are things on Wednesdays in the regions, but I'm just trying to be, I want to, be as easy as possible on everyone, to really be collaborative and make sure that families can go to as many events and board members too, for their children. So I don't know how people feel about that, but I think
So what I can say too is like what's happened over the years is that 5 years ago, this didn't matter. Nobody was going to anything at RAM. We didn't have any RAM teachers on our board. People didn't have kids up at RAM, so it just wasn't an issue. And it's become an issue the last 2 or 3 years. So I think moving it to like a Monday night could be a really proactive solution, because I looked over the last 2 years, there was not one RAM event on a Monday night. So like we're pretty much guaranteed to not have a conflict if we do it on a Monday. When I talked to the admin team, the feeling was as long as you have some notice, like several months knowing ahead of time it's going to shift to a different night of the week, that we can plan our lives around it. So that's why it would be better to sort of decide earlier rather than later if we're going to shift, so that we can then plan for that maybe starting in January.
right. I was thinking maybe with a new year.
I'd say after
Right.
next election cycle, for me, because Mondays are not gonna work
You're not
for
for
me.
election.
What's that?
Oh, Mondays won't work for
Next
you.
election, like,
Yeah.
Yeah. So it doesn't have to be
Mondays are no good. I mean,
Monday.
besides all your holidays fall.
That's the other
Yes,
challenge.
yeah, that is. So, I mean,
Wednesdays are no good. I mean,
I think Tuesdays are a possibility perhaps as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Mondays and Tuesday were the days where there was literally no conflict with RAM. And like I said, with some notice, the admin team said that they could be flexible, and Dave as well.
I did look at, Andover meets on a Wednesday, Marlborough meets on like the 4th Monday, but they do move around. So I don't know, but I don't know if that, I just want to bring it out there so maybe we can think about it and
what's the
discuss
big deal
it.
with Thursdays?
But there
Everything
just
is on
there's a
Thursday.
lot of RAM events on
Everything
Thursdays.
is ran.
Thursdays are a popular night for school events if they're gonna be at night, because
Middle
it's
and
like
high.
easier to do a night event at school.
Mhm.
And
They're almost always on Thursdays.
What if we start earlier? This way we're done in time.
Well, so say in the case of open house, it would be, the open house at RAM starts at 6, right? Like the kick-up, like you're in the gymnasium at 6, a welcome, and you're like following your kid's schedule by the bell, honestly. And so, we would have to be like a 4 o'clock meeting, and I don't think, most of us probably can't do a 4 o'clock meeting, maybe.
The admin team, I'm sure, would love a 4.
I don't know that, like, you, Joe, would be able to do a 4 o'clock or.
Potentially, if it's once a month.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, it's definitely a thought. I'm open, I'm just trying to be, I would say Thursday is hard. It's hard in town as well, as you know, like Board of Selectmen are on Thursdays, like other boards are on Thursday. Every board is on, I don't know what it is about Thursday. But we've always been on Thursday too. So
We will do
I
whatever.
mean, since I've been on the board, and that's 8 years, so, you know, so I
Well,
will.
I was gonna, so it's always been Thursdays
Since
for
I've been on the
Board of
board,
Ed,
yep.
which, you know, but potentially conflicts with things, but
It
also.
does. It has before too. Not just because of our makeup of our board now.
I was
mean,
gonna say, cause
that's why
if
it
it's something
came
that's-
up. It was
okay.
even before our board that had come up. I mean, the current board. Like,
Right.
I mean, years ago.
Like, I wouldn't
as
wanna
well.
make a change just because right now we're in this situation, like, right
Right.
now,
Well, I
this
think
group is
it
in
would
a particular
behoove any
situation, if it's
board,
worked in the
if it was
past.
7 new members, I think it would behoove the Board of Education as a whole to maybe think about another night or another time of the meeting, 4 o'clock or whatever, which I could do too, but I don't know about everyone else.
The only challenge with 4 is like tonight, when we had like all these parents
Right.
and families come, that could
Right.
be early
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah. So I just wanted to bring it out there, we could, and then I wanted to put it on the agenda for next month, so everyone had time to think about it. I know what you're saying, like the election's coming up, but I'm thinking like for 2026, but and certainly if there's new folks on the board and they end up changing it, they do. But I think we should look at it, because everything is on Thursday, and I think it's easier, to be honest, for 7 people to potentially change than like a
It's
whole
just-
school event sometimes.
It's just tough if people are running for seats for a board and then
Mhm.
you know that the board meets on Thursdays.
Mhm.
So if they were to win and they're like, well, I can't meet on Thursday, and you guys just moved it, it's not fair.
Yeah,
So if it's on the agenda for next, when does the calendar committee meet?
So the
well,
calendar committee.
that's different, that's for the school calendar, but
Yeah.
we have to decide, you know, we certify our meeting dates to the town clerk.
And we have to do
Before
that by
End
when?
of the year, right? Don't we do that at the December
We do it
meeting?
by the December meeting.
Historically, it gets done at the November meeting.
Yeah, but we moved it,
Yeah.
because it was a little early, because of election.
Right.
The only challenge.
So by December, and then I'll certify our meeting dates to the town clerk. That doesn't mean we can't change them.
Well,
It
if we
just-
did it at
By
December,
law,
we
we
would
have to
know,
give them to her by January 15th.
like, we could have our new members wouldn't be on the board, but I'm thinking like Kim and I came to the December meeting and were able to,
I think you're starting at the December meeting.
You started.
is it,
Starting.
okay.
Yeah.
So maybe it was the November meeting. I just remember us kind of like talking about dates before we were officially on the board.
After the election day, you and I meet with the people too.
Yes, so historically, yes. Dr. Bear and I meet with any new members that might be elected to the board.
Yeah, usually we've drafted board meeting dates in October to bring to the November board meeting. We voted in November because we haven't set a regular meeting date for January, which we also didn't do last year. So that'll be the only hiccup if we vote in December, is that your January meeting.
It'll be a special meeting,
Will have to
because
be
they have to have 30 days notice
Right.
for it to be regular. So if we change a meeting, it'll be a special meeting.
Yeah.
The first meeting, I should say that, the first meeting of the new calendar, so we certify it, we certify it on January 5th. It has to have 30 days from the day you certify your meeting schedule to have a regular meeting. So if we certify it on January 5th and we have a meeting on January 20th, it has to be a special meeting,
Yeah.
just for that first
And
meeting.
what we'll do though is we'll add January of the following year when we submit it, so that the next year we won't run into that issue.
I mean, I'd be okay with saying 5 o'clock on Thursdays. We're always gonna have meetings where we're not gonna be able to get quorum, and at that point,
Yeah.
then we say, well, let's move that one. So if we can
Yes.
look at the calendar, we can say, let's move it. I feel Thursdays have worked, people that have already committed to running are aware of when the meeting is. So I would hate to have a candidate, and I love our board the way it is, but I would say, I'd hate to have a candidate running that is available on Thursdays, and then it's like, well, we're gonna pull the old switcheroo on you, and it's gonna be on Tuesdays, and they're not available on Tuesdays.
Yes, and I also hope every candidate running welcomes to come to our board meetings. I always like to throw that out there.
Yeah, we won't, and you guys aren't gonna you're not gonna settle your calendar until after those people are elected.
Right, but I do think it's worth a discussion, just, you know, in the spirit of being collaborative and that every event ever is on Thursday.
And the admin team we are able to accommodate whatever it is you all decide. We're not pushing you towards any particular day or time.
No, it was something I brought to Dr. Baird because I thought it would be a good idea.
But for the record, I am in favor of earlier.
All right.
If that works for everyone.
Which is interesting, because I didn't, out of
Well, I
everyone,
work-
I thought
I
you
work
would be.
remote. I've changed, I work remote.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
You don't travel as much?
The only
I still
thing-
travel, but it'll
Okay.
either be I cannot be here and I'll be
Okay.
fully remote, or I can be.
Okay.
So we'll talk about it next month, though. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Bring
we'll
all-
talk about
bring
it
all
more,
of our
so you have time to
thoughts.
think about it, time to
Will be fine.
look
Yeah.
at, like, how, what, if it's earlier or a different day, what that looks like.
I'll just say this about earlier too, like, subcommittees then can be a challenge if you wanna keep them on the same night as meetings, but the other option is you can post them to start immediately following the regular meeting.
Yep.
So rather than having the subcommittee before the meeting, you can have it right after the meeting.
Yeah. Or they can, I mean, they can be
Oh, they-
separate. We used to have them separate.
Yeah, you could do
So
that
we could
too.
do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, all right, that's all I have.
Good discussion.
All right, the superintendent's report, Dr. Baird.
All right, so you do have a pin at your spot, so this was given out at convocation. It was part of the theme of our year, is that every piece has a spot in our puzzle, and all of our staff are an important part of the puzzle, and all of our students are an important part of our puzzle. So hope you enjoy your little piece of flair there. We had a really smooth start of the year, and it's been interesting talking to other superintendents across the state, feeling, for the most part, pretty similarly. It has felt like more like a regular year than any year that we can remember since the pandemic, honestly. And I know it feels weird, it's like 5 years later, but it just felt a lot smoother this year. So that's a celebration. Some other updates here is, as part of that, we did launch our new 5-day schedule for our half-day preschool program. That was many years in the making and is going really well. We had the additional classroom. Last I heard, there were 5 people left on the wait list, so there is still a wait list that's being worked. We are hoping to add another staff member so that we could offer a couple of other full-day seats to some students who are currently in the half-day program that are on the wait list. Everybody waiting on the wait list could have a half-day spot if they wanted, but are waiting for a full day. Some are already in the half-day, some are not. So that's where preschool is right now. The parking lot was of great concern, as you know, but the staggered arrival is working really well, and it worked really well even on the first day of school. We did have the field opened up just in case, but we did not need to use it, so feeling pretty positive about that.
That's good.
Curriculum implementation to launch the year, so we have started our implementation of illustrative math in grade 4, the new departmentalized structure in grade 5, and the updated writing units in grade 4 and 5. So we're happy about all of those pieces. The admin team, for the first time, at least since I've been here, and I'm almost at 6 years now, all the administrators from all 4 Region 8 districts got together and did some professional development with Jessica Ritter. So that was a nice collaboration, and we also are splitting the cost for that, so some budgetary savings there. But it was really nice to have us all in the same room together. We updated the K2 report cards, so those updates are finalized. The other piece around the district advancement plan is, and you'll get a presentation on this next month, so this is just a kind of a coming attractions. But our state assessment results were pretty strong. We were holding steady in ELA, which has always been a strength for us. We are growing in math. We had our highest growth rates that we've seen. And we had our highest science proficiency rate that we've seen ever. Forget about pre-COVID or anything, just ever. So that was really exciting. And you'll get a whole presentation on that next month. For technology and facilities, the biggest updates here are just that the electrical work in the kitchen here remains in progress. And the new Gaggle web filter, we talked about that during budget season, so that is implemented and launched, so we're excited about that. A little bit of growing pains, because some things that shouldn't be blocked are blocked, and we gotta unblock them for people, and so the work continues. Some other items of interest, congratulations to Laurel Smith. You'll remember Laurel as our kindergartner who presented at our May board meeting. She was a top national winner. Well, she is now a top global winner in the Invention Convention.
Good for her.
So congratulations to Laurel Smith. But she was top kindergartner, so how about that? And we also updated, we talked about during the presentation, but for the record, we updated the climate policy under the authority in our bylaws. I made those updates on your behalf. And the other two updates that I have for you that are not written here is we have our annual calendar committee. So we are going to have that meeting virtually on Monday, October 20th. So if any board members would like to participate, we are looking at a different calendar for next year. So usually it's been like, some minor tweaks. This year it's going to be a little bit of a bigger adjustment. We are looking to start the school year a week later because of the roof and code correction projects happening here at Gilead. I'm sure you remember that we don't anticipate that those projects will be completed before we start the school year. There'll be work that's happening after hours throughout the fall. So having more time to get more of the work done before all the staff are back would be appreciated. We talked about it at the building committee meeting. So we've got a pretty good working option right now that the calendar committee will be looking at. So if you are interested, I know, Allie, you've served on that before.
Do you know what time you're meeting?
We're gonna meet at 3:30 on Zoom.
Yeah, I can do that.
All right.
Unless somebody else wants it.
On Monday, October 20th
Yep.
at 3:30. So, but if anybody else would like to do it, let me know. But then the calendar will come to you at the November board meeting for you to hopefully approve. And the last thing I'll just mention is kind of related to the kindergarten waiver legislation that we heard about during public comment. There is going to be, well, I shouldn't say there is with certainty, there is likely going to be a special session of the legislature in October. The main drive for that is updating the legislation around affordable housing. But there were quite a number of bills that passed in either the House or the Senate in a bipartisan fashion that did not get a vote in the opposite body. And so they are considering revisiting some of those, which is very unusual. Usually a special session is very limited. But one of the bills is the very large education bill that included updates to the kindergarten waiver process. So we are watching that very closely. There's some SRO pieces of that, some pieces around crisis drills, how they'll deal with passing it when the school year is already in motion. That'll be interesting. But it does seem like that bill is going to get a vote. The Senate didn't take any action on it, was the issue with that particular bill. So I will keep you updated, but that may force some required changes to our starting school before the age 5 policy, or otherwise the kindergarten waiver.
When is that?
What's that?
When is that going to be up for a vote?
We don't know yet. We don't even know for certainty that it will.
Okay.
But if it does, likely in October.
Okay.
Do you know what the changes are?
The changes would allow for districts to either have a waiver process or not, and just have a strict 5 age start date. So that would be for the policy committee to consider.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you so much. All right. Cindy.
Hi,
Business manager's report.
how y'all doing? It was, so overall for transportation, it was a pretty good smooth start to the school year. Very few challenges on bus routes as far as that goes. You will see some changes in our budget regarding transportation. It is always a moving target anyway, but we did, when the budget was originally done, there were only 4 days of pre-K. We of course now have 5, so there's some additions there. We have additional van that we had to add. So there will be some updates as far as that. And then for special education, transportation is always a moving target, but we'll see some of that in the October meeting.
I'm just going to interject. So the additional van, because I know that got a lot of discussion last year, is completely unrelated to the additional classroom. It's
Yes,
not
sorry.
there are no students in that classroom that need access to the van. We are just maxed out. And so this is, even if we didn't add another classroom, we would be adding this van.
Oh, sorry. Student activities has been very quiet, of course, at the beginning of the year. Food services, I just wanted to say again, because I know this one is televised, is that free reduced meals are not free anymore. They've been free since pre-COVID. And since we have a very young population, we probably have some parents that don't realize that all of a sudden now they are paying for breakfast, lunch. And it's 30 cents for breakfast, 40 cents for lunch. Rumor has it that may also be brought up at the special session of the legislation. I know that the Department of Education is working hard to try to reduce or eliminate the reduce level and go back to everything being free, which they've done that several times over the years, is switching from free to pay and pay to free. So hopefully they'll make their decisions and know, but I wanted to say it out loud just in case parents are not aware that they are now paying if they're on a reduced wheel. The menus are out. You'll notice I left you all cute little magnets. We will be sending these magnets home with the October menus. They are QR codes. Hopefully people can put them on their refrigerator. They can scan in and see the monthly meals. You can also scan in. I took your recommendation from last month. And they can also scan in and add funds directly to their My Payments Plus. We also added that QR code, My School Bucks, the My School Bucks to the menus as well. So those are on there as well. But hopefully parents will find these convenient. Maybe when they open the fridge, they might decide, hey, maybe I'll just buy lunch instead. Right now, the breakfast and lunch sales are trending about the same as they were around this time last year. So, preschool report is attached. It's nothing major to announce there. Parents started paying in August this year, and we have over 80% of our parents are on target with checks and online payments. Grants are still moving along. Title I and Title II were announced with the funding. We are getting $3,338 less in Title I and II funding than the Hebron did last year. Title IV funding is the same level. I touched on it last month. The seed grant is $43,858. That is special education funding only for things that are not just to supplement something that you already have, but it's something new. I know that we're talking about that with the new special education teacher to help offset that cost. That will be distributed 3 times over 3 payments over the year. And then the other new one was the DRIP fund, which is the District Repair and Improvement Project Program. Hebron is up for $57,388 of that. Those funds will come in June. They're non-lapsing, so you don't have to spend them between June 20th and June 30th. So you can save them over the year as well. You can decide what they would need to do, but they are for basically for districts to help manage some of those projects that cost and we don't expect them to come in.
So right now, we're kind of thinking that we will try to mitigate anything that comes up over this year and then have that funds for the next year. And we have our $20,000 contingent, which we usually blow through over the summer. So then this will become another bucket of contingency money for things that break, and we have old buildings and they break all year long. So it just make us feel a little bit more reassured.
Breathing room. So fiscal year end, so when I wrote the report, we were at $19,226 remaining funds from fiscal year 2025. I did do update to some bank reconciliations. That's actually down to now to $17,000, about $17,000. I just literally did that before I walked in the door here. Again, this number is not audited, so that is out in limbo until the 25 audit is completed. And it's right now sitting in what we call Fund 800. The other non-lapsing fund, which is about 900, that's the $228,000 that the town has designated for the Board of Education. Of that, we have $205,371 uncommitted at this point. In regards to that fund, I am started talks with the town on how to manage that fund. I think that right now it's sitting in town accounts, it's not earning any interest. I think the town is amicable to giving us those funds and letting us put them in a money market account and letting them, the Board of Education manage those themselves. But that's kind of very beginning of talks with the town on that. As far as the general fund and the audit goes, we are still waiting on the 24 audit. It's looked again right before the meeting. There's nothing left for the Board of Education in the 24 audit, so it's all pretty much on the town side at this point, so waiting on that. They are going to start what's called the EFS portion of the 25 audit. The EFS is the annual report we have to put into the state every year, August 29th. And it has to be audited by the independent auditors by January 31st. So they will do that audit as they did last year to get you guys in compliance with the state on the EFS system. I don't have any transfers this month. We just got the EPSU salaries in with the new rates, and so with tuition and transportation, and it's kind of still moving around. I didn't have anything up to do that. As far as where we're standing right now, we have $1,300,000, or as of August 31st, $1,352,942 unencumbered, or uncommitted, I should say. At that time, we had not encumbered any tuition for special education because we hadn't received any invoices, so we weren't exactly 100% sure where those invoices are going to land. So that will be changed pretty significantly before the end of September. So, and if you have any questions? Oh, there was one thing on there I want to just point out. There is a negative on technology if you're looking through the detailed lines of over $11,000. That's a Pecapedia grant. The town kind of gave us some money, and then it was a thing. But we do have $12,000 that's sitting with the town right now, and those funds will go towards technology. We have not actually decided exactly where those funds are going to go, but that you'll see the negative in there. That will clear out by the end of September. So.
Got a question and a comment.
Sure.
Question, are we sure that the non-lapsing funds are in a non-interest bearing account? Because our assumption is that the town is collecting the interest.
So when I asked the director of finance at the town, she said it was not in a interest-bearing account. And if it is, we are not getting those interest.
That's what I assume.
So I don't know where they physically keep their funds, but I was told it was not in an interest-bearing account.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Second point, I love this.
Yeah, me
So
too.
I checked the QR code, it's awesome.
Very good.
My only critique is the font.
Oh, it's too late.
It's just, I know it's too late. Yeah, but maybe for,
She said light, I think.
oh, like that, well, I'm sure we already ordered a ton of these. So maybe the next revision at some point would just have a different font, because it's kind of,
Too faded, gotcha. Not a problem.
It's a great idea, I love it.
yeah, it's awesome.
Yes. I
Very
like the
good.
font, but hey, teach their own. Great idea.
Yeah. I could just see it getting faded over time, and it's kind of like, what's that say?
We'll be happy to give them more.
Good, great idea.
Yeah.
I love it.
Any other questions for Cindy? Thank you. All right, so then we're on to committee updates. Policy committee hasn't met, but I think we will be meeting in the next few months. I think
Yeah,
it's
I'm still waiting
something.
for our new stuff to come from Shipman.
Yes, yep, and then we will meet. Resource management committee,
We did not, but we should,
I do
right?
I
agree.
think we're leaning towards November.
You
Okay,
know, around
Yeah.
budget, start of budget.
Yeah,
Yes, I
okay.
think we should too,
sounds good.
yeah,
I will put out a calendar invite.
okay. Student growth and district advancement hasn't met. Communications, community engagement,
Did not meet.
no, but as budget season gets closer, that'll be. Negotiations committee, we will be beginning,
The winter,
winter,
spring.
winter, spring, but not during budget season. Teacher negotiations are up next. Building committee, Joe, Alicia, and
I have notes. Keep in mind, this is not my area of expertise, so my notes may not make much sense, but, so looking forward to the Gilead Hill, well, first Gilead Hill HES roof project is well on its way, done-ish. There's
The The grant, is that what you mean? Or you're
No,
talking
the
about
project.
you're
The
talking about
project.
AGS?
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
There's a bit of a delay in some of the processing of the paperwork, but the actual work has moved along nicely. Looking forward to next year, there are some concerns about, at this building, about the lights, and I tried to take notes and I'm really confused, but I believe that there are some concerns about whether or not the entire lighting grid needs to be replaced, and if that has to happen, there are some concerns because the ceiling tiles may not need to be moved. It is probably better to remove the grid, is the determination made by some of the folks on the committee. In order to do all of that, that could potentially extend the timeline on the project, which is why, as Dr. Baird mentioned, that there's a proposal on the table to consider starting school a little bit later to allow more of a buffer in case the project takes longer. However, Labor Day is late next year, so
Yeah.
even if it would be a week later, it wouldn't really be, it would still be starting the week before Labor Day, which is what we are accustomed to. So that's what I've got, and I'm sure there are things to fill in, but it took me a lot to get those notes.
Yeah, the issue with the lights is
Thank you.
they're looking at the clearance between the ceiling and where the drop lights are in the classrooms, and there's nothing really wrong with the lights, but they could be damaged during the project, and then if they're damaged, and then we need to replace them anyway, and then and then it's like a delay until they come, and so should they just get replaced anyway? Was a lot of the conversation.
Also the discussion, if you replace most of the structure but leave some of the old structure, it might look
The grid, yeah.
kind of
Not
yucky.
great, yeah.
Because it will be old and we'll have new lights with some old parts.
Kind of like, if you're replacing all the drop ceiling tiles, but you're not replacing the really old, not looking great grid.
It's not consistent.
Like why? Why do all that?
Yeah, I
So-
feel like.
So the
we're
feeling
never-
was that we may be deciding that we're gonna take on a little bit more work, but it's gonna be best in the long term. But wouldn't we have wanted to decide that if we basically were forced into either of those decisions anyway, and then it took even longer because we waited to decide them, was a lot of the conversation, yeah.
That's all I got.
And so I definitely supported the move of just replace it all, and just decide to replace it all from the very beginning. Because I think that overall that'll help the timeline and it'll look nicer.
If you're gonna do it, you
Yeah.
might as well do it.
Yeah.
Can you, I know this is a calendar question, but what would the actual date be for the start of school, just so we're thinking
Right
about
now in the draft calendar, it's September 1st. So we would just do one professional development day. This is just like what is in the draft. It's like on my desktop that I've talked to 5 people with.
Okay.
But right now, it would be one PD day with meet and greet in the afternoon of that day on the 31st, which is a Monday. Kids would start on a Tuesday, which is a little bit different. Ram will have already been in school for a couple of days by then. Because usually we would start around the 26th, I think is that Wednesday. And so we have essentially 4 days to make up for. So 3 of them get put at the end of the school year, which brings our last day of school to a Friday. And I think 2 days after Ram would have been out by then. But we also take a shorter President's Day long weekend. So instead of a 4-day long weekend, we take a 3-day long weekend for that. So that's what's in the draft right now. But it would put us not getting out too much later. I'm concerned about how hot our schools are in June. So we'd still leave 5 snow days for June before we would start taking time from April break. So seems reasonable. But yeah, and I think it partly doesn't feel that like we're starting that late because Labor Day is just extremely late next year.
Yeah.
So it still feels like, oh, we're still starting the week before Labor Day, but we would have even started earlier than that.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
and we'll still be able to do the field trip to the fair because Labor Day is so late. I'm assuming the fair will be still the week of Labor Day. So, I feel like if there was ever a year we had to do it, actually the way things
works
kind of
out.
fell wasn't so bad,
Thank you. Thank you for your report. That was lovely.
You did great.
I liked it. Pete Taylor, he's
Got
like,
it. Okay, so they voted on their budget recently. We are, or they're waiting on some additional input on how to spend the Apex funding. I think everyone's familiar with the Apex fund run that happened last year. That raised upwards of $45,000 that will be allocated to both schools. So important to share that. They're completing a year at a glance, giving some key updates for both schools. This month and next month, stay tuned to social media and other correspondence. There'll be picture day, there's a book fair, the open house at both schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent. I'm just wondering if we're gonna change this name going forward.
This is the new state name.
Oh, I thought this
Yeah.
was because we were collaborating.
Nope.
Okay, Local Governance Partnership Liaison, Alicia or Dr. Briere, either.
So it hasn't
School
met yet,
readiness.
so the LGP for short is the new School Readiness Council. It is a collaboration between Andover, Lebanon, and Hebron, and it's being facilitated by EastCon on our behalf. The first meeting is September 18th, and AHM is hosting us actually for that first meeting. And Mrs. Haynes actually is taking the lead on that, not me. So
Okay.
I can get updates from her, the liaison, for future updates, but
Oh, good idea.
yeah.
Dependent, I don't know if this is the right time. I may need to not be on that committee any longer, depending on when the meetings are. I may not have the ability to attend those, so
Okay,
we can.
yeah, so, will you find out at the first meeting?
This will be the first of
what
its
the
kind
schedule,
on September 18th.
or maybe can we
They'll set
ask them
dates and-
what the potential schedule will be, so we can figure out.
Yeah.
Is there a requirement for a board member to be on it?
I don't believe so. They're gonna go over required, it's all brand new, so they're gonna go over required memberships across the 3 communities. We have to satisfy each of those requirements across 3 communities now, so it's, I believe will be the board's prerogative if they want someone there to be there. Not sure it will be a requirement, so we have 3 communities kind of participating. But I can certainly bring
Happy
that
to
up.
have the board member, but I'm just saying, if
Yeah.
it becomes a problem, maybe it's not something that has to happen.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, just let me know. Thank you. Wellness Committee,
We're gonna meet next month.
Excellent.
all right. Old business that we keep on, I don't know if there's anything,
Nothing on the first item.
nothing in school building infrastructure. School lunch program,
They can make,
Or
we
November.
scheduled our November board meeting, but they
Yeah.
can come, so we'll do that in November.
yeah. All right, any new business? Anybody would like any new business?
The calendar discussion.
Yeah. The calendar discussion. Any other? No? All right. Board member comments. All right, we're good. All right. Can I have a motion to adjourn then at 7:25 PM?
So moved.
Close. We go back to
Ally,
tape.
that's going to
I
Ally.
think I got it.
I'll second that.
All right, we'll give it to Ally. Joe will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? All right. We are adjourned.
You can get it next month.
That was